Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the opening round of Ray Esports Racing League's 7th season, presented once again by Spec Racer Sports, Alliance Autosport, and Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, right here on Apex Racing TV. Over the course of our 9-week regular season and then the winner-take-all championship event, we hope to bring you some of the best racing around in 3 different classes, well known to club racers here in the United States: Spec Miata, Spec Racer Ford, and Formula 4. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and along with me this season, DJ Clark in the commentary booth, and we've got Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production trailer. And tonight, we find ourselves just outside of Washington, D.C., on a narrow circuit that may not have ever hosted a Grand Prix, but in its glory days saw Trans Am and Can-Am navigate its 2 miles and 10 turns. And today, it plays host to the longest tenured amateur racing series, the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series. It's seen its share of amateur racing luminaries such as national champions Paul Newman, Randy Canfield, and Rob Hines, and they've attacked the 100+ mile-per-hour chute. And it's given others such as 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson and Tom Cruise fits. This week we head to the course that some of us here in the announce booth like to call home, Summit Point Raceway. And as we'll do each week, we'll feature 2 20-minute sprint races. First on track will be those Spec Miatas. You can see them right there on your screen right now. And following up to round out the evening tonight will be Spec Racer Ford. Our Formula 4 drivers, they're going to join us next week. We're going to give them a few extra days of practice, and they'll be here with us for week number 2 next week at Sonoma Raceway. And so welcome, DJ, to both the Ray Esports Racing League and to Summit Point.
Well, thank you for having me up here in the booth, Greg. It's good to be here at Summit Point. This is a very, very technical circuit for a lot of these drivers. Good thing that we're taking on some of these lower-powered cars here, because if you try to race any of the high-end machinery around here, these corners come at you so fast you don't have any time to think. But still plenty of opportunity to get around here. I think this is going to present a fantastic race for both our Spec Racer Fords and our MX-5s, which we have out on track right now.
Indeed, and this is, you know, a track that is deceptively technical. DJ, as you mentioned here, is where we're on board right now with Andre Jameson on track, and we were just watching another one of our drivers down in that very technical carousel section of the track, where, you know, if you get one corner wrong, it compounds itself, and you can find yourself trying to play catch up for 4 or 5 or 6 corners. But let's take quickly a look here as we have our drivers out on track. We're about halfway through this 15-minute open qualifying session, and just to set the scene for tonight, DJ, after that 15-minute qualifying session and we set the grid for our first race, we will have a 20-minute sprint race to the checker. We're going to do it all over again once that's done with our Spec Racer Fords tonight. And the season, it's going to be 9 weeks in length, and each one of our 3 classes, they will get 6 rounds here during season number 7, and then we're going to have that, again, winner-take-all championship event to round out the season just before Christmas. But as we take a look at the drivers on track right now, and most of them are on either their first or second qualifying laps, our provisional pole sitter at the moment is Robert Kucera in the number 177 machine, with Murphy Nichols, who lives right outside of Summit Point, lives in Frederick, Maryland, driving the number 23 machine. Looks like he just decided to head to the pit lane. He's currently your second fastest driver. Margin right now separating those 2 drivers about 19 hundredths of a second. Beans Forster, currently 3rd fastest. He's driving that blue number 231 machine as he comes underneath the bridge and sneaking by the number 17 of Kevin Langer to complete his, what will be his, I believe, 6th flying lap. And we'll take a look here as he crosses the stripe, see if he can improve upon that third fastest time. And he does not, actually about a full second off. But DJ, real quick, let's take a look back very quickly. I just wanted to call out our Spec Miata champion here for season number 6. Not with us here this evening, I don't believe, but Morgan Burkhardt was your season 6 champion, with Jordy Fike finishing 2nd. Caleb Patry, who happened to be our season 5 champion in MX5 in the Spec Miatas, was 3rd, and Morgan rounded out that season championship by taking the win in the winner-take-all runoffs held here at Summit Point Raceway back in August. So congratulations to him, but it is a new day, it's a new season.
Yes, it is. And I think for a lot of these drivers, they're going to be very, very excited to get out to the track, headed all to circuits this season that we know very, very well. You mentioned Sonoma, also got Road Atlanta, Lime Rock, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, Laguna Seca, Road America, Sebring, and then those runoffs that you mentioned, that season take all at the end, going to Indianapolis on the new rescan of the Indy Road Course. That is a fantastic track with the new chicane that has been laid in there. It's made the track a lot more racy, and I think that is a fantastic way to end the season.
It certainly is. And the Ray Esports League had raced at the Indy Road Course, the previous version on iRacing, and I think these drivers are going to be very impressed with the quality of the scan and what has changed on that track. But as they come back here to Summit Point, they come back to one of the racetracks that was actually one of the earliest scans on the iRacing platform, and one of the first free tracks offered as part of iRacing. I believe the scan was done here at Summit Point somewhere mid-2006 for the rollout of iRacing in 2007. And DJ, as somebody who's raced here at Summit Point many times, who's called many races in real life at Summit Point, it's a very different track nowadays in real life. It's been repaved, I believe, 3 separate times since that original scan. Some of the tire walls are in different places, but it should not be an issue for the majority of our drivers who all they know of Summit Point is what they have on iRacing. But we do have a number of local drivers who have raced on this track recently. I mentioned Murphy Nichols a little bit earlier. Deacon Greenfield, who is a rookie in the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series this season. We also have Justin Huffman in the field. Now, typically we see Justin and his son Jameson racing with us. I think we have just Justin here this evening. Justin races a Formula Enterprises 2 Formula car in the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series and in SCCA National Racing as well. So a lot of drivers here that have put in quite a bit of time. We have Stephen Blethyn, who was actually here racing at Summit Point over Labor Day weekend. So good to see him down here, that he made the rundown, I believe, from Massachusetts. So again, a good field, but many of these drivers, they're not going to know the difference between a 2007 Summit Point and a 2022 Summit Point.
Yeah, exactly, and that's obviously one of the joys of iRacing is you get to know some of these older circuits and the way that they play out. And one of the things you mentioned here, specifically tire bundles, there's really not a lot of good runoff, let's call it.
No.
Not a lot of paved runoff around here. If you get off on this rescan, you are going to be in a world of trouble. The grass around here is willing to catch you out. It's willing to send you out into the outside, and you're probably not going to find a tire bundle. You're going to find yourself slipping and skating for a very long time. Yeah,
usually into a big berm, whether it be one of the berms off on driver's left as you come out of turn 10, or as you come down through the chute. If you drop a wheel there, driver's left as well, or even coming out of turn 8 and heading up the hill towards that bridge at the end of the carousel. As we watch right now, one of our drivers, this is Travis Trussell. You can see that tire bundle off the driver's left there. It's pretty easy once you get into the grass, if you run a little wide there, to get caught. Interesting story about Travis Trussell. We're coming down towards the end of qualifying here. Travis, not necessarily a racer in the Washington, D.C. area, but he is one of the motorsports photographers who is very commonly out at Summit Point shooting club racing, as well as the FRP Pro Racing that is out there, a lot of vintage racing as well. Knows this track maybe as well as anybody, just not from the track surface. We'll see how he does tonight, as we now have just about a half a minute remaining in qualifying. And as it was when we checked in halfway through the session, Robert Kucera, your provisional pole sitter, Murphy Nichols and Beans Forster, your top three. Bob Kucera, currently your fourth fastest. Fifth fastest, Kevin Langer. And if you take a look here, though, DJ, really tight, very close here time-wise, all the way through really the top 10, as you have only about 2 seconds separating our top 10 drivers.
Yeah, very, very close running for all of them, and I think that's going to set up a really good race here, specifically in these MX-5s. If they're able to keep the draft in play down the long front straightaway, that means that it's going to be hard for some of these drivers to break away. Obviously, you're going to be able to maybe pull a little bit out during the technical section, but keep an eye on that 1 second gap. That's going to be the main draft range that you want to keep everything in.
That's right here. And you mentioned that long front straightaway, about a half mile here at Summit Point. But oddly enough, those of us who've raced at Summit Point consider that carousel section, that bottom half of the course, as the longest straightaway, as once you turn in at turn 6 to start that carousel, you're constantly trying to feed in throttle. And that is, I think, where the race can be won and can be lost. Of course, I think the most common passing areas that you're going to see are coming down into turn 1 and perhaps outbraking somebody into turn 5 at the bottom of that chute, the slowest corner here on 10 turn Summit Point, as the checkered flag is now out on qualifying. Last flying laps here will count, and I believe we do have a few drivers still out on track. Here we've got Beans Forster, followed by Murphy Nichols, trying to use the draft maybe to make up a little bit of time here. They're trying to leapfrog Bob Kucera for provisional pole. Do any of them do it? No, doesn't look like either one is going to improve.
Yeah, and that looks like there, in particular, Beans had a very slow lap. Not sure what happened there in the 126s, but that is obviously not a representative time, though, but that should get us just about ready, as Kevin Langer, I think, is going to be the last driver to potentially be able to set a time down on the board.
All right, let's follow him as he comes out a little bit of bobble there through turn 8 and up the hill. Comes down under braking going into turn 1. Again, Kevin Langer currently sitting 5th in qualifying here, as he comes onto the front straight and crosses the start finish line, and Kevin Langer does not improve. He's going to have to sit on that 121.47. All right, so DJ, here as our drivers now are starting to grid up, why don't you run down the starting grid for us?
Sure thing. We're going to have Robert Kucera, as we said, lining up in pole position. Murphy Nichols going to be flanking him. Then it'll be Beans Forrester and Bob Kucera in row 2. Then we have the New Englander of Kevin Langer starting off in P5, followed by Darian Taggart in P6. Row 4 is going to be Skip Brock Jr., followed by Deacon Greenfield, with Charlie Vaccaro and Justin Huffman rounding out your top 10. Joshua Justice going to be lining up in 11th, followed by one of the series organizers here, Stevie Ray, in P12. Looking back into 13th. Then it's going to be Jim Brewster and Stephen Bluthen there in 14th. 15th is Jose de Casas, followed by Caleb Pocock. Then it will be Wayne Buttermore and Andre Jameson. Joaquin Effinger will be in 19th, and Mark Sherman rounds out the top 20. Travis Trussell will be 21st. Then it will be Yonchi Lin in 22nd. Jeffrey Andrews and Stephen Boucade will round out your 24-car grid. A very, very healthy number of cars here at Summit Point. I think this is going to be a good sprint race to start off the season.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if there was going to be one class and one track to start off the season, I would say probably the MX-5s, the Spec Miatas, and Summit Point might produce some of the closest racing that we have all season long. As we have, and we're taking a look here, I still don't see Wan Chi Lin, Jeff Adams, or Stephen Bulcade up on the grid, and a little surprising to see Wan Chi Lin qualified all the way back in 22nd position. Actually, I don't believe he put in a qualifying time. I just got word from Stevie Ray that Wan Chi Lin was out doing qualifying for the iRacing official SCCA runoffs this weekend, did not make it back in time for qualifying, and Stephen Boucade having some computer issues, so we may not see them. Now, Jeff Andrews, that's another story. We'll hopefully get some information there as we get ready for our field to start rolling off, and the pace car now on its way, taking this large 23-car field with Robert Kucera as your pole sitter. And as they start to make their way around, DJ, let me quickly talk about one of our great partners and sponsors of the Ray Esports Racing League, and that is Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, who will be bringing you the MX-5 races all season long. Built for the true sports car enthusiast, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission: to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots Motorsports, take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything else this hobby has to offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars, built-in driveways, and they also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars, because hands-on technical articles aren't typed behind a desk. They're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read but become part of the story, head on over to grassrootsmotorsports.com. And I want to thank them once again, and our other sponsors. Alliance Autosport will be bringing us all of our F4 races this season, and Spec Racer Sports, who, as I'm sure you can imagine, will be sponsoring the Spec Racer Ford races this season. I want to thank them for coming along on this ride with us again this season here at the Ray Esports Racing League.
Yeah, big thanks to all of our sponsors. Just a little bit of chatter here going on between drivers, just laying down some of the ground rules, obviously wanting a good, clean race here as they work their way through the carousel. This is the moment, Greg, where you've got to try to tamp down that adrenaline a little bit as a driver. That adrenaline, those nerves, those are the big killer here. You want to be as calm, cool, and collected going down into turn 1 as possible.
Yeah, and this is always the time when I'm behind the wheel where I can do everything possible to stay calm and stay cool on the pit lane. But as soon as you roll off on that pace lap, everything just starts to ramp up. And maybe it's that slow pace behind the pace car that builds the anticipation for the green flag. That may be it. I don't know, but we've got the pace car now on the pit lane. Robert Kucera has the field. Murphy Nichols to his left bring the field onto the front straight, this long, half-mile long front straight. As we wait for the green flag, the field looks very well formed, although bunching up just a little bit, with Nichols bringing that outside lane maybe a little bit towards the center. And there we go, green flag is in the air, and we are racing here season number 7 of the Ray Esports Racing League, as Robert Kucera and Murphy Nichols stay side by side, door to door, as they come down into the braking zone into turn number 1. Nichols nose up right now on Kucera. Can he get around from the outside? It's a long way around that sweeping right-hand turns 1 and 2, and they are still door to door as they come into turn number 3. Looks like Beans Forster has cemented that 3rd position, but then we've got Bob Kucera, Darian Taggart, and Deacon Greenfield now side by side and going for the long ride through the grass. That is, I believe that was Kevin Langer going off on the outside. There it is, the black number 17 machine going off at turn 3.
Yeah, just brought a little bit too much speed there going into Wagon Bend, and that's going to send him around. Want to give credit there to Nichols to be able to keep that speed going. We're going to jump back and check out a replay here of Langer and just what happened.
Yeah, and Langer had already, I believe, started to drop back just a little bit as they had the 48 machine and the 78 machine, right, or probably the 75 machine, and yeah, just from the outside lane there, cold tires. And, you know, the one advantage here at Summit Point, if you go off of turn 3, assuming you don't hit those tire walls, is the track kind of comes back to you. As long as you can straighten out the wheel, it makes for a fairly easy off-road recovery. But here, as we complete lap number 1 and head down towards turn 1 for the 2nd time, Robert Kucera has cemented that lead. We've got Murphy Nichols in second, Beans Forster, Bob Kucera, and then Darian Taggart, and then Deacon Greenfield in the number 36 machine, currently running in 6th position. Skip Brock Jr., I believe, down from Atlanta, or up from Atlanta, running in 7th. Charles Vaccaro, Josh Justice, and Kevin Langer in that black number 17 machine, now rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, some good battles starting to place themselves out over the field right now. We're not seeing a whole lot of aggression there going into turn 1 or going into Wagon Bend. I think everybody just trying to get a feel for this race. As you mentioned a little bit earlier, get those tires up to temperature, make sure the car is feeling nice and neat underneath you before you really start to push here in the latter stages of this race. That specifically looks like what Beans Forrester is doing right now.
Indeed. Now we also had this time at turn 3 seems to be the trouble spot early on as these drivers are trying to get their tires temps up. Josh Justice maybe turning in a little bit early at turn 3, goes off to driver's left. Let's take a look at the replay, DJ.
All right, so this is coming in there again, keeping an eye there on the 99. I think that's going to be very, very similar. A little bit more contained there for Josh. It looks like he just got a little bit of understeer coming off the corner. That is a great save coming out there. He was millimeters away from that tire barrier.
Oh my. All right, let's go back to the live action there. Yeah, it looks like maybe just tried to avoid a car on exit there, but great to keep it off the berm and off the tire walls here as we look at this battle now for the lead as Murphy Nichols has worked his way around Kucera, but Kucera, not content with second place now, is going to go door to door with the red number 23 through turn 3. Beans Forster trying to pick a horse here as they come down through the chute. He's got the inside move going into 4, but he's going to get held out as they go under braking into 5.
And he's got to watch out a little bit more behind. We've got a big off track there behind, but here's Bob Kucera starting to run in. Darian Taggart and Deacon Greenfield all getting interested in this battle as well. If those top 3 continue to scrap the way they are, we very well have a 6-car battle on our hands. All
right, DJ, let's jump back to that little melee coming down through the chute and going into turn 5 right behind our leaders. And actually, this doesn't appear to be it. This is going down into turn 1. There we go. Justin Huff in the lead car there. The number 223 machine getting put around, ends up in the gravel trap. And as opposed to the real life at Summit Point, you can actually drive out of those gravel traps. In real life, you might still be there as we jump back to this battle for the lead with Murphy Nichols, with Robert Kucera and Beans Forster, and looks like Darian Taggart in the 75. He's right there as well as we see the 231 of Forster now gets around our pole sitter Robert Kucera, moving up into 2nd, but Kucera once again coming down the inside at turn 3. And it's getting awfully tight through there at the exit of 3 these last 2 laps, DJ.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've already seen 2 cars off there, as that's going to be a little bit more of a kick for Beans coming down through the corner. He's got to be very careful. He's been very aggressive here with the curbing, and I've got to be a little bit concerned if that's going to throw off the balance of the car and maybe get it a little bit uncontrollable, specifically coming through turn 3 and maybe up through the chute. Big snap of oversteer there for Taggart, though. I think that may have been a little bit of a touch from behind.
That, I was going to say, it looked like perhaps we had Bob Kucera in the 48 machine. Maybe give him a little bit of a tap from the rear, as we see Deacon Greenfield now pulling all the way over driver's left. He's going to give up a couple positions. He's going to give up a spot to Bob Kucera, drop him now back in the 6th place. But, you know, the big talking point, I think, about these MX-5s, about the Miatas coming into this current iRacing season, not necessarily the Ray Esports season, has been how the feel of the tires is considerably different. They seem to be a much looser car. Oh, it's very tight there as Greenfield comes underneath the 75 of Taggart. He's going to take over 5th position. You know, the drivers have really had some trouble coming to grips with the changes in the car and getting some setups that will make the car bring back some of that neutral handling that they had been used to for the last couple of seasons. And you know, I think we're kind of seeing that now as we're watching the rear ends of some of these cars really act pendulum-like, go down through the carousel, and once again coming out of turn 3 here.
Yeah, very much so. You know, these cars used to be, you could lean on them a lot more. They were a little bit more understeery. You could lean into the corners, and you kind of had to chuck them into, especially corners like the carousel like this, really get those rear ends to snap, and that was the way to get them around the corner. But now, there's a lot more oversteer. There's a lot more of that rear end breakaway that you talked about, and it's completely changed the way that you have to drive it, and it's caught more than a few drivers out.
All right, here we go, going side by side through turn 10. It's Skip Brock and Bob Kucera. Certainly not the fast way through the corner there, too wide. We'll see if the 17 machine of Kevin Langer can do something about it. You can see now as Langer steps to the inside, steps drivers right on the number 48 machine. We'll see if he can outbrake the 48 going down into turn number 1. And here we go. Here's a little bit of a change. If we jump up towards the lead here, Jonathan, I think we have a new leader, and that is Beans Forster, who's managed to get around both Nichols and Kucera and has opened up perhaps the largest lead of the day, which is, well, about a car length and a half. We'll see how long that lasts under the draft. Let's take a look and see how he got there.
So jumping back into the replay machine here, this is going to be just a pretty much textbook draft move. It looks like good run there out of Paddock Bend. He's going to pull to the inside there of Murphy Nichols, letting the draft do its thing, carrying a little bit of that overspeed. You see the 177 of Kucera trying to be able to pull in alongside as well to see if he can make that work. Pretty easy there for Beans. Credit there to Murphy Nichols, though, not giving up that 2nd place position and holding that around.
Yeah, and you can see all 3 cars out there dancing around on the brakes there, right on the threshold. And Murphy, he kept the car out there in case he had to worry about Kucera trying to beat him to the apex. They both made it work pretty well. Looks like Kucera may have taken some of the curbing there on that last try. But let's jump a little further back, and this is that battle once again. Kevin Langer in the 17, who had that pretty lurid off at turn 3 on the opening lap. He's still trying to find a way around Bob Kucera. Cannot carry enough speed under the draft to get alongside into the braking zone. I think he's going to have to find a way to carry more speed out of turn 10.
Yeah, I think he is as well, and that's really where you've got to set everything up. If you're able to carry that good run through turn 10, a little bit of dust getting kicked up there as they run, that will be the crucial moment. We talked about that nearly half-mile straight. You need to maximize your speed on corner exit there to be able to take advantage of that. Ooh, that's the 75 getting all kinds of turned up there. Darian Taggart looking a little bit sideways coming down into the carousel.
Yeah, it looks like they're still having some issues getting the rotation done. They're going into turn 6A and 6B, and you can see there Taggart's car. You know, you just talked, DJ, about having to chuck these cars into corners, and you can see that liftoff oversteer that Taggart's using to rotate the car. It does not seem to be the fastest way through some of these corners, though. You know, you maybe want a little bit of a drift, a little bit of a slide, but he's really just kind of tossing the rear end out, and I think losing a lot of exit speed on these corners.
Yeah, he certainly is, and that was really indicative of, as we said, the old tire model here for these MX-5s. That's how you really had to do it. Use a little bit of trail braking and try to chuck the car around. Now you try to put a little bit too much of that in there, it's going to over-rotate, and I think what's happening is you're getting a lot of slip on the tires, that they're just sort of skating across the track and not really gripping up and giving you that speed you need.
All right, well, for Taggart to, I guess, for a little bit of a breather here, he may be having some handling problems, but he's opened up a bit of a gap back to Deacon Greenfield in the 36. Then the skip Brock. Brock is going to try to come down the inside of turn 5 on Deacon Greenfield. You know, so DJ, I hadn't mentioned this, but Deacon was my student at the Washington, D.C. region SCCA's competition driver school in the spring. And I taught him to cover the inside there going in the 5. I guess maybe I've got to reteach him that lesson. as Greenfield opened up the door, but he was able to at least carry enough speed and hold Skip Brock off going in the 6A. But yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Mr. Greenfield this week.
I think you might have to. That's not the best way to try to hold that off there. So there may need to be a little bit of reteaching.
Yeah, you know, you'll find in the MX-5s, I mean, it's a typical, when you go down through the chute and go into turn 5, kind of keep that car center of track. It allows you to get the rotation going into turn. Wow, and talk about rotation. There we go. Darian Taggart is off into the gravel on the outside of turn number 1. He's going to lose a number of positions here. Was that Taggart, or was that that was Kucera, pardon me. Who went off the 48 machine. Pardon me, I thought that was the 75 that went off. Kucera now going to drop all the way back to 8th position. It looks like he's still having some problems navigating turn number 3. But as the drivers come down here into turn number 5, typically with the MX-5s, you're going to find most of the drivers mid-track. But that really opens a door for somebody to come all the way down left-hand side and outbreak into the slowest corner, a corner that's kind of considered amongst drivers at Summit to be a throwaway turn because it is such a short distance between turns 5 and 6. You know, but if you get pushed to the outside of 5, it's really hard to get the power back down, and you can certainly lose 1, maybe even 2 positions in that short run to turn 6. And we saw there as Skip Brock tried to make that move once again. But let's do this. Let's jump back up to our lead pack, where Beans Forster, as he has from I think lap number 4 on, has been your leader, Murphy Nichols and Bob Kucera, as we are now just under or just over halfway, pardon me, through this 20-minute race. We've got about 7 minutes remaining here at Summit Point.
Yeah, about 7 minutes remaining, and we're starting to see a little bit of a strategy play out here for Murphy Nichols. If you eagle-eyed viewers would notice, giving a little bit of a bump draft to Bean Forrester down the main straightaway didn't necessarily play out, I think, as well as he would like, and that's because he clipped the grass coming through turn 1. But Nichols clearly has some good speed, and he's willing to use it.
Yeah, and I think the key here is to make it a 2-car battle at the end, not a 3-car battle, as they're trying to lose our pole sitter, Kucera, who that time by was the 3rd fastest of the 3, but again with that little bobble by Nichols going down into turn 1 allowed him to get back up. And you can see here now, DJ, as they come through what we like to refer to as the talent section of Summit Point down in the carousel, both Beans Forster and Murphy Nichols were able to open up about 3.5 car lengths on Robert Kucera there. Kucera, he's got certainly a lot of experience in the sim here at Summit Point, but you know, that section at the bottom end of the course here, especially as the drivers are trying to deal with that tire model and how the rear end of these cars handle, it's a little dance down through there in order to continue to carry speed.
Yeah, exactly, and you have just got to be on your toes as you do it, and that's really where, for these drivers, as opposed to driving an MX-5 in real life, if you're new to the sim world, you've got to feel it all in your fingertips. That's where it all is in these high-powered force feedback wheels, so you can just feel that little bit of a breakaway. Good drivers will know just how to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, that has always been my issue. I don't mind telling everybody that I am absolutely miserable in a sim because and you find this, you know, with some of the and I'm using the air quotes now, the old timers, you know, that started off without having the having simulators to help them and guide them is, you know, you're always looking for that seat of the pants feel here. As we have the 48 machine, Bob Kucera, his problems continue as he goes around at turn number 5. Kucera, who had been as high as 5th position, now finds himself all the way back, pardon me, had been as high as 4th position, finds himself all the way back in 17th. Let's take a look and see what happened.
This is coming down into that tricky section that we were talking about a little bit earlier. You can see the rear end wanting to break away there as he goes down into the chute, brings it down into the corner here. I think that's just a simple case of a little bit too much speed and those rear tires not wanting to comply.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe not getting the car woed down, still had the foot on the giving it a little bit of trail brake there, but with a little bit too much throttle, and around the car goes as we now jump back to the battle for the lead a full lap later here, as we've got Beans Forster, Murphy Nichols, and Robert Kucera working lap number 12 with now 4.5, actually about now just about 4 minutes remaining here, and this is starting to turn into perhaps a 4-car battle as Darian Taggart in that 75 machine has managed to work his way back up to our lead trio, DJ.
Yes, he has, and so that number 75 could be involved in this battle, specifically if Forster, Nichols, and Kucera start to battle a little bit. I think the biggest thing here that Kucera is going to be trying to keep an eye on is making sure that Taggart doesn't get too close to him. Looks like good runs there for the leading two. I don't think we're going to see a lot of play here for Kucera or Taggart, but we may see another bump draft, maybe even a little bit of a pass here from Murphy Nichols.
All right, and here as they come down to the turn 1, Nichols, you see him taking a brief look to the inside. He does get back behind the 231 machine of Forster, and I think probably for the best right there, as it really might have opened up the door for the 117, or probably the 177, to make a move as well. Also, certainly would have brought the 75 machine into that battle as they come down the hill. And once again, Nichols using up every last bit of track, trying to open up that chute going down through turn 4. And you can see now he is moving all the way over driver's right to try and open up turn number 5, carry as much speed as he can into 6A and 6B.
And it also looked like there that he was able to be a little bit later on the binders coming down into there as well. Almost had to check himself up in front of Beans Forrester. So I wonder if that's a little bit indicative of what's to come. If he feels a little bit better on the brakes and he may be able to send a move down into 1 or maybe even down into that corner in these last 2 minutes time.
All right, as they come onto the front straight now, and when they cross the line, should have 2 laps remaining here at Summit Point in our opening Spec Miata race of Season 7 in the Ray Esports Racing League, as they now come down into turn number 1. And there you go, jumping to the inside, Robert Kucera, but he realizes at the 400-foot mark, he's just not quite close enough. As Nichols, as you mentioned, DJ, really late on the binders there. He lost a little bit more ground to our leader, but certainly did not give Kucera many options as they came down into that braking zone.
No, certainly didn't, and that could be also used a little bit defensively there, as all 3 of those trailing cars getting a little bit wiggly coming up through turn 3 there. Let's watch again here for Murphy Nichols. Again, later on the binders, he's just got a better sense of that car and really able to get it to go, but the problem is that he's not able to carry as much speed out of the corner.
Right.
Obviously, going into carousel, not going to be the best overtaking opportunity, but he is losing a little bit of time there, and I wonder if that's going to come back to bite him here on this last lap.
All right, and we'll see here as they come through this corner here that opens up very wide, carry speed up the hill. Now, you'll see both of these drivers staying all the way driver's left. You can actually save a couple feet if you come under the middle of the bridge here, but neither driver does, so it really isn't going to make much of a difference here as they come onto the front straight, and they are going to get the white flag. Here we go, last lap, as Beans Forster leads the field. Murphy Nichols second, Robert Kucera and Darian Taggart your top 4, and they've really opened things up now over Deacon Greenfield, who's almost 8 seconds in arrears. And now side by side going into turn 1, it's Nichols trying to make the move on Forster, but Nichols drops a wheel on the outside. He's going to have to slot right back behind the 231 machine, but Robert Kucera not able to take advantage of that move, but it also has brought Darian Taggart in the 75 machine right up into the battle, DJ.
Yes, it has, and now it's going to be advantage over here to Kucera as they work their way through the chute. He's going to try to poke his nose to the inside. Somehow slips that car down in, and they're going to be side by side.
And once again, Nichols has the rear end step out on him coming through 5, loses a lot of exit speed there, but manages to hold off the 177 machine and the 75, getting a whole bunch of curb coming through turn 6B and 7 as they work their way up the hill. But right now, Beans Forster, he's just got to put his head down and let Nichols and Kucera battle it out for second here as they go side by side into turn number 10. And then the 177 car, he's going to slot behind Nichols as they come out onto the front straight. And there you go, give the win to Beans Forster. Ben Forster in the number 231 machine. Coming home in second is going to be Murphy Nichols. Robert Kucera beats Darian Taggart to the line by 0.04 of a second. Coming home in fifth. Good run for him, making up 3 spots. Deacon Greenfield, Skip Brock's going to come home in 6th. Kevin Langer, who started 5th tonight, had that wild off on lap 1. He's going to come home in 7th. Stevie Ray, the man who puts the Ray in the Ray Esports Racing League, he comes home in 8th. Stephen Blethen, great run for him tonight, makes up 5 positions. He finishes 9th. Jose De La Casas rounds out the top 10. And I was going to say, DJ, let's not forget, actually, finishing in 11th, I talked about Travis Trussell, motorsports photographer, hard charger of the evening, making up 10 positions.
Yeah, very, very good run there for him. Up 10 is nothing to shake a stick at, especially considering the closest driver there with moving up the field is going to be Andre Jamison there behind him, who was up 6. So that is just a testament there to the 140.
All right, as we have the final cars crossing the start-finish line, looks like Mark Sherman now coming and completing his race. Beans Forster from Team Watson Racing, again, your winner. Murphy Nichols from the Smoketown Brewery Racing Team, he finishes 2nd. Robert Kucera finishes 3rd. And then Taggart and Greenfield finishing just off the podium. And, you know, we see the field here playing bumper cars down at turn 1, DJ. Why don't we give them another second or so to see if we have any of our podium finishers finding their way to the green room. And indeed we do. Why don't we bring in, let's start off with Murphy Nichols from Smoketown Brewery. He finishes 2nd tonight in the Spec Miatas.
Well, Murphy, a good run out there for you, P2 as it goes. How do you feel about that being the first run of the season for you?
I'm tired. I don't know, my heart was pounding the whole race. Beans, Rob, and Darian toward the end, they all put up a heck of a fight. And it really could have been a toss-up. Like, if we would have raced how we did on the last lap the whole time, it really could have been a toss-up between any of us 4, but I wanted to be smart with it. I knew Beans was my teammate, so I wanted to work with him as long as possible until probably about the last lap or so when I had a good shot to go for the win, but I wasn't close enough on the last lap. I tried making a good move down on the outside of 1, just didn't end up working, but my hat's off to all those guys. And I made a joke to some of my buddies. I said, man, Darian's about to pull a Chip Her in this race and go from last to podium position. But, I mean, heck of a drive by him and heck of a drive by all of the top 4, really. They all did an amazing job.
Well, you guys are for us, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about this new tire model that we've been talking a lot about up here in the booth. Seems like these cars are a lot more slippery. Looks like the rear end in particular wants to break away. How are you sort of having to relearn a little bit of driving in these MX-5s?
So this was actually the first time that I'd driven the car since the update. So it was definitely kind of a learning as I was going type experience. It felt like how the car felt a couple years ago before they kind of made the car more grippier, back when like they added the sequential, and like really right before that they made the car really grippy, and then they kind of made it loose again. And so I had experience from when the car was loose, but obviously that was a couple years ago, so relearning it's definitely tricky. The car definitely does want to snap on you, especially in areas like 6 and 10 where like it's just a quick transition. You're going from either high speed straight to like high speed corner, and you really got to throw the rear end out to get the rotation, especially when the tires are starting to go. But I mean, the setup that I had, it played to that advantage a little bit, to where I could kick the rear end out a little bit. It would get a little bit slippy, and maybe I had to change my pants once or twice, but it was definitely controllable, which was what I wanted in the end.
Well, I guess controllable is really all you can ask for, but we won't hold you too long because we know you've got another race to get off to here, Murphy. But anybody you'd like to thank for the second place run?
All the guys at ASR and TWR for hooking us up with the setup. Obviously, Beans for being a good teammate, overall good friend. Shout out to all the guys at Wise Markets. Shout out to the guys at Smoketown, Fourth Dimension, and you guys for putting on a great show as always. And what a way to kick off the season!
Indeed, a fantastic way to kick off the season. That was Murphy Nichols, your second place finisher. I believe we've also got a little bit of time here to talk to Beans Forrester, your victor on the day. And Beans Forrester, that is just about as good of a way to start the season as I can imagine for you.
I think I had a little bit of good luck from winning this race at the end of last season too, so it's still fresh in my mind.
Well, good stuff indeed. Saw you getting a little bit of a bump draft there from your teammate Murphy coming down the straightaway. How much contact were you guys having communication-wise in between the two of you, kind of setting that up and trying to pull ahead of the rest of the field?
Yeah, that was kind of our main goal. Our main goal was to try and break away, but Rob just kept getting stuck to us, and we couldn't really shake him too much. I had a little bit more pace than Murphy, so I was hoping I can tow him along, but I never like being the guy in the back too, especially when I'm a little bit faster, because the last thing I want to do is miss my braking point and just take us both out.
Well, it looked like you were able to not do that and keep all 4 tires on the right stuff. I've got to ask, is this a precursor to a championship challenge? Is that what you have your eyes on here in the MX-5s this year?
That's the hope. With the way I finished out last season, I'm really hoping I can podium at least one, if not all 3 classes. That's the goal, but we'll see.
We'll wish you all the luck in the world, Beans. Anybody you'd like to thank for the run today?
I just want to thank you guys and everyone here for making this such a great league, and how it is what it is.
Well, thank you. We are more than happy to do it. We'll let you get back to racing. That was Beans Forrester, your victor from the first race.
All right, yeah, thanks so much to Beans, and yeah, I'm sure he's definitely, at least in the MX-5s, looking to improve upon that 9th place finish in the championship that he had last year. But as you mentioned, he finished last season very, very strong. All right, so next up, we've got our Spec Racer Ford race here from Summit Point Raceway. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and before we do that even, I'm going to ask, if you like what you saw here, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel and click on that notification bell. That way you can find out about all the great virtual motorsports action that Apex Racing TV has around the clock, around the globe, each and every week. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get set up for that next race, and we'll be right back with some Spec Racer Ford action from Summit Point Raceway. You're watching the Ray Esports Racing League's Season 7. and welcome back to Summit Point Raceway for season number 7 of the Ray Esports Racing League. You've just seen a great way to open up the season with our Spec Miatas, but next up it's Spec Racer Ford action. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with DJ Clark. And DJ, thank you so much for, I know probably not going to have you next week, but I think the plan is to have you all season long. And thank you so much for joining us here this season on the Ray Esports Racing League. Definitely great to have you.
Oh, it's fantastic to be here, and I'm just happy to be able to be a part of it as we go on through the course of this season, getting to visit virtually some of the greatest racing tracks in all of North America. And, well, with action like we saw last time out, you can't beat racing like this.
No, certainly not. And so now we've got our Spec Racer Ford drivers. They are out for qualifying, their 15-minute open qualifying in order to set the grid for their 20-minute race. And well, that may not be the way Stevie Ray wanted to open up his Spec Racer Ford action there, as it looks like he went around over by turn 1. Yeah, but he exactly, he got good airtime there, showing off the Ray Esports logo as the car went around there at turn number 1. Stevie Ray, though, right now with 6 flying laps in the books, actually qualified second fastest today. John Vogel in the Carrier air conditioning machine, currently your fastest driver at the moment, your provisional pole sitter. Fast time for him, a 1:18.56. Stevie Ray, almost a half second off of that time, currently actually about 4/10 off of that time, currently the 1:18.96 as his fastest lap. Justin Huffman, third fastest. Josh Justice, fourth fastest. And got word from Josh Justice in that last race, he dropped a number of positions on the very last lap. There's Josh in that blue number 99 machine, ran out of fuel on the very last lap in the Spec Miata race. I'm sure he's going to be a little bit more careful this time around, but he is currently running fourth fastest. Charles Vaccaro, another Spec Racer Ford driver in real life in the new number 221 machine. He is currently your 6th fastest driver. And then Murphy Nichols, who we just finished speaking to a few moments ago, coming home second in Spec Miata. He is currently running 7th fastest with 4 flying laps in the book. So DJ, real quick, let's take a look back at last season, at season 6, and our championship winner for season 6 in Spec Racer Ford, Wanqi Lin, who I believe now, after not having made it in time for qualifying for Spec Miata, is out on track. Here he has not put in a time yet, however, with I think he's working his 6th flying lap at the moment in the number 30 machine. Still waiting for him to put in a time. There he is in that orange and white number 30. We'll see where he ends up on the leaderboard after this lap. It looks like Josh Justice following him down the front straight, trying to pick up a little bit of a draft. And there you go, Wanqi Lin crosses the stripe, does not get the provisional pole, but he is currently your 2nd fastest driver on track with a time of a 1:18.93. So Wanqi Lin was your season 6 champion. John Vogel, who's your provisional pole sitter, finished 2nd in the championship, only 2 points back from there. And both Jordy Fike and Josh Justice were tied for 3rd in the championship, another 5 points back from John Vogel, and taking the win. And I think DJ, when you were interviewing Beans Forster, how he said that he was coming off that win from his last race at Summit Point. We had the runoffs there last season. Beans Forster was our Spec Racer Ford winner in the season 6 runoffs.
Yeah, so he's going to have some good momentum to be able to carry in on here, and we've talked about the difficulties of this circuit outright. A little bit of a change here in the Spec Racer Fords, obviously a little bit more horsepower to deal with, different handling characteristics for the cars, so they're going to have to bring it around as we continue to watch here. Wanqi Lin, here is Charles Vaccaro, a little bit almost side by side coming down into the final corner there as they work their way around here on the last couple of minutes of qualifying.
Here you go, and Vaccaro running wide. They're coming out of turn 10 as perhaps he was thrown a little bit off. I think that was Russ Lundberg in the 129 machine. I believe that's Russ in that Matco Tools car right ahead of Charles Vaccaro. Indeed, that is the 129 car. of Russell Lundberg, currently sitting 13th. Don't have times yet for Travis Trussell, who again was our hard charger in the last race, nor Greg Miller. And I guess we've got a little surprise when we run down the grid here in just a little bit with another driver that may not have set a time. But here we go, and let's take a look here. Beans Forster now works his way up to 5th fastest as we have just a little bit over 1 minute remaining here in qualifying. Let's sit on board with Beans as he comes down hard under braking into turn number 5. And really good rotation there. I guess, you know, one of the big differences here, well, maybe it's not such a big difference. We talked about with the MX-5s, with the Miatas, about what it takes to get the rear end to come around, and now it's you know, not a lot. You know, the one handling characteristic, obviously, that you've had with the Spec Racer Fords, with that now a 1.6 liter Ford motor sitting out back, is, you know, the lift-off oversteer that you sometimes get going into corners, and you have to be very careful with that transition from the brake pedal, or from the gas pedal to the brake pedal, going into some of the corners, like a turn 1, like a turn 5 as well, and frankly going into turn 6 and 6A and 6B at some point as well.
Yeah, you've got to be very, very careful with it. This is one of those cars that is a little bit adverse to a lot of trail braking coming in the corner. As you say, that lift-off oversteer, the rear end is going to want to over-rotate on you, and you've got to be constantly aware of it and make sure that that rear end is going to stay planted. It's something that you have to be thinking about the entire time as the checkered flag flies here for qualifying.
All right, there you go. And with the checkered flag out, John Vogel, our provisional pole sitter in that Carrier Air Conditioning's number 4 machine, puts in his fastest lap of the session, I believe, on the very last lap, turning in a 1:18.517 there. So a great run for him. And when we run down the starting order here in just a few moments, we'll find him as your pole sitter. Beans Forster has already brought the car back behind the wall. He's not going to have not going to be able to attempt to overtake Vogel for pole position. Josh Justice as well. Looks like his session is done as we're watching Travis Trussell right now. And it looks like Trussell not going to get a time in this session. Looks like he's going to probably start in 16th position as we now track Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 machine, currently sitting 12th, looking to maybe leapfrog Mark Sherman or Tom Froling as he comes down the front straight. Can he improve upon his 121 and change? He does. He puts in a 120.6, but that still is going to find him in 12th position.
And there comes Vogel coming across the line. A little bit of just an added thing there for him, as he was obviously going to be on pole position, and that is going to be the rest of the field gridded up, and we are ready to get racing.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at the starting order. Well, we'll have the starting order here in just a moment. Looks like I jumped the gun a little bit here, DJ. Yeah, sometimes I'm a little faster than iRacing is. Maybe it's the fact that it's expecting me to come to the grid. I don't know. We'll have to see here. There we go. There's our starting grid. Let's bring them up. John. Here we go. All right. So starting on the pole tonight, in the number 4 machine with a qualifying time of 1:18.51, John Vogel. Beans Forster finds himself, worked his way all the way up to outside pole. He's going to start just to the left of John Vogel in the Team Watson Racing Spec Racer Ford. Starting in 3rd position inside of row number 2, driving the number 99 machine from Josh Justice Racing. Oddly enough, Josh Justice. Justin Huffman out of Charlestown, West Virginia. He's going to be starting in 4th in the 223 machine. Stevie Ray is going to start 5th. Wan Chi Lin, our season 6 champion, he starts 6th today. Murphy Nichols will start 7th with Charles Vaccaro starting next to him on the outside of row number 4. Deacon Greenfield is going to start 9th with Tom Froling starting 10th. Mark Sherman and Wayne Buttermore will make up row number 6 today, starting 13th. There we go. Starting 13th is going to be Russ Lundberg from RGL Motorsports, with Joaquin Effinger starting right beside him in the number 700 car. He's going to start 14th. Greg Miller and Jose de Casas, they will make up row number 8. And some guy named Greg Ginsburg is scheduled to start 17th. I don't think that's going to happen tonight in the number 72 machine. Stephen Blethen scheduled to start 18th, and Travis Trussell, who did not put in a time, will start 19th. And I have a feeling that both Blethen and Trussell are going to make the grid. Greg Ginsburg, not so much, DJ.
Yeah, not so much. I'm not really sure what he's going to be able to do out there. I think he may be previously indisposed, let's say.
Yes. I'm going to be painting the line going in the 5 for Deacon Greenfield. That's what I'm going to be doing. All right. Thanks. Oh, Jonathan Grabowski with the jokes in my ear right now. All right, so as we get ready to get underway here, the pace car, now that beautiful Porsche 911, is underway, bringing John Vogel and Beans Forster along for the ride. And as they start their pace lap around 2 mile, 10 turn Summit Point, let's talk about our sponsor for tonight's second race of the evening, and that is Spec Racer Sports. And their mission is to help fuel you and support your addiction to road racing. And they feel that the way to accomplish this is by providing exceptional customer support, the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair, competitive price. Located trackside at Motorsports Ranch Houston, Spec Racer Sports currently stables Spec Racer Fords and offers exceptionally prepared rental cars. In addition, Spec Racer Sports has new cars for sale, storage, and support, as well as technical services such as chassis dyno work, driver coaching, and fabrication. And all are offered at competitive rates. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, visit specracersports.com. And here we go, and we can see now as Forster and Vogel, and this is not something that we saw with the Spec Miatas earlier. DJs looks like at least the front of the field, certainly not coming down into turn 5, but definitely doing a lot of scrubbing of tires. I don't see a lot of braking, dragging the brakes, what have you, to get heat in those wheels and in the brakes, but certainly a lot of scrubbing going on, trying to get those little Hoosier tires up to temp.
Yeah, just trying to see what they can do. I think that's really going to be just trying to get a good bite point going down into turn 1 and hopefully avoiding any of those, I don't want to say calamities, but offs that we had going down through turn 3. That's really where you want those tires to be up into that perfect optimal operating window.
All right, and we've got the field now very well formed up here as they come out of turn 8 and head towards the bridge over, well, as I look back towards the back half of the field, partially well formed up, and now they look a heck of a lot better as they come underneath the bridge. The pace car now on the pit lane, and your pole sitter, John Vogel, now has the field as Beans Forster takes that left-hand row around the corner and onto the front straight. You can see our leaders all dragging the brakes, waiting for the green flag, and very late green flag. There we go. Green flag is in the air as Forster gets a good jump. Jumping to the inside immediately was Beans Forster, taking to the grass. I believe that was Charles Vaccaro going to the grass on driver's right, but now Beans Forster with a great jump from the left lane. He's going to cut right across the nose of the number 4 machine to take the lead. That drops Vogel back into second. Josh Justice, he slots in ahead of the 223 machine of Justin Huffman. Murphy Nichols trying to sneak by Wan Chi Lin, our season 6 champion, can't get it done as they come down through turn 3, and actually that was Murphy Nichols going to the look into the grass, DJ, and it closed up on him on that start very quickly.
Yeah, closed up a whole lot there, and Joshua Justice doing a good job to be able to jump over Justin Huffman. Huffman trying to carry a little bit of momentum to follow Beans Forster behind, but not able to do it. We jump back on board here with our 5th place driver, your 6th season champion here of Wan Chi Lin. A little bit of side-by-side up in front of him there. That's Justice taking a little bit of a different line.
Yeah, is got a lot of curb over at turn 7. I'm a little surprised there to see how much curbing they're taking at that apex there, and you can see these fairly stiffly sprung Spec Racer Fords getting a little bit of air Certainly not the compliance that you have in the Miatas. Oh, and we have, as Josh Justice gets a little bit of gravel and dirt coming out of turn 10, we see some drivers take evasive action, like Wanchi Lin coming all the way down driver's right. He's going to try to outbrake the number 99 car. He's not quite alongside. Oh, and brake lockup from the 223 of Huffman. He gets into the back of Josh Justice. Both of those drivers now into the gravel trap. It looks like Wayne Buttermore has found his way to the gravel trap as well, and that is the second race in a row where we see the 223 machine of Huffman down in the gravel at turn 1, DJ, and looks like he just didn't get the braking right, got right into the back of the 99.
Yeah, maybe those brakes just a hair under temperature there, just not exactly getting it right. Obviously, being that close up behind another driver, you do have to adjust your braking point, but that causing that coming through. And it sounds like, though, we've got a replay to be able to spool up and take a look at exactly what happened.
All right, here we go. We're on board right now with the 99 machine of Justice as he comes down to that 500-foot mark, gets on the binders. Now let's take a look from the rear, and there you go. There is the hit on the rear of the number 99 machine. Both of them go off into the gravel. It looks like maybe Murphy Nichols had also gone a little bit wide there as well. Matter of fact, Nichols now has fallen all the way back in the 7th position. But what that also has done, DJ, is it's really opened up the front of the field here considerably as our leaders are now working lap number 3.
Yeah, working lap number 3 here as they come down through the corner. Going to see a little bit of side-by-side there. Forster sending a nice little over-under on Vogel, and that's going to be enough to get him up into the lead. That was a fantastic move.
Great move by the 231 machine. A little bit later on the break, squares off the exit, comes right back under the number 4 machine as Vogel had tried to outbrake him in the 1. And Wanchi Lin, who had started back in 6th position, he now finds himself in 3rd place, and a very close 3rd with Stevie Ray in the 11 car back in 4th. Deacon Greenfield, who's already made up 4 positions, sitting in 5th right now in that blue number 36 machine.
Yeah, doing a great job to be able to move his way up through the field, and there is Wanchi Lin now being able to move his way up as well. I think that battle between Forster and Vogel is going to be exactly what the number 30 wants to have happen here. That is going to be music to his eyes as he starts to play out. A little bit of a look for Vogel, though, coming down into the final corner.
Yeah, and every time we see the number 4 and the 231 battle for position through a corner, that's going to bring the number 30 closer. And of course, you've got the effects of the very heavy effects of the draft here as John Vogel once again comes to the inside. And we've got contact between the 231 and the 4 as we had Forster try to push Vogel as far to the inside to compromise his entrance into turn 1 as much as possible. And once again, Forster going to try to do the over-under. He is able to get past the number 4 machine, but that number 30 machine of Wanchi Lin, he's just lurking there right now, DJ. Looked like he didn't have much of a place to go going through turn 1. Had to check up just a little bit to let the 2 leaders through, but it is very clear that he's playing a wait-and-see game right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the best strategy for him here at this point. Between Vogel and Forster, they're definitely battling it out here and really trying to be able to vie for this lead. Oh, as we've got a car off around back, that's Nichols in the back of the field.
Yeah, that is the number 5 machine of Nichols, and looks like he has now been able to gather things back up. He's got Travis Trussell, and yeah, let's take a look at the replay, see exactly what happened here, DJ.
Looks like this is going to be coming down into the chute. Nichols off on driver's left there, brings it down to the apex, takes a big clip of the curb. That upsets the car a little bit. Looks like he just missed his braking point there, couldn't get the car wound up.
Yeah, and you know that the curbing there at turn 4, at least when this track was scanned in, as we go back to live action, that curbing at turn 4 is probably the tallest curbing at the track. But let's look at this. Let's jump back over now as we've got Wanchi Lin and John Vogel coming out of turns 1 and 2. Now fiberglass to fiberglass, door to door, with Beans Forster trying to sneak in between the 2 of them as they go through turn 3. And it looks like Lin's going to have to take a little bit of gravel, but it is now a 4-car fight for the lead here as we can't count out Stevie Ray in that silver and burgundy number 11 machine hanging right in with them as well.
Yeah, Stevie Ray getting himself involved in this scrap as well. We're only about 6 minutes down in this race. There's still plenty of time left to go, and I think Wan Lin has had enough of waiting around, wants to get out and clear of all of this, and I got to think if he can get this move done on Vogel, he may be checking out into the distance.
I was just going to say, he may be able to just check out at this point. I don't know if I'd want to be in the middle of all this mayhem going on around him right now either, but he gets a great run out of turn 10. He's right up to the gearbox of the number 4. Now Vogel's going to move to the inside to try and defend the right going in. Maybe another little bit of contact there as they come down the front straight, but you can see Lin with the left wheels almost all the way to the grass, trying to open up the corner as much as possible going into 1, and that is going to pinch Vogel to the inside. Forster now going to try to come in underneath him. Now we've got Lin. He's got the position on both the 4 and also the 231. They're going to have to, those two cars are going to have to battle it out for second as they go through turn 3.
And I think that was a little bit of a check up there from John Vogel mid-corner, but he's going to stick with it here. I thought he was going to give that position up to the 231 of Forster, but he's not going to do so. They're still side-by-side coming through the chute.
And Vogel, I think, had designs on going underneath the number 30 machine going into turn 5. The door was just not opened up enough for him. And so Wan Lin now, as he carries some speed through 6A, is able to open up about a 3-car length advantage now over Beans Forster into 231, who has now managed to get around John Vogel. Now, I should mention that John Vogel does race a Spec Racer Ford in real life. He's got a lot of experience in this chassis. He's got a lot of experience with the gear ratios of these new sequential gearboxes. Interestingly enough, the SADEV sequential gearboxes found their way into iRacing before they did in real life. Beat the real life cars by about a season, and so Vogel's had some experience both in the sim and in real life with them, as we now have Stevie Ray coming deep down the inside to try and get underneath the number 4 machine. And so now John Vogel in the span of just 2 laps, well, maybe I'm speaking a little bit too early, but in the span of just 2 laps finds himself going from the lead down into 4th, maybe back to 3rd.
And it looks like he checked himself up there, and that's going to be Stevie Ray going a little bit off there, coming through turn 3. That's going to open up the door again here for John Vogel, but it looks like Ray's going to be able to try to hold that off. No, I spoke too soon there. Oh, lock up in contact.
There we go. Contact as Vogel gets into the side of the number 11 machine, does get through the lightest of contact there, but it was certainly enough to loosen up the number 11. And so Stevie Ray now going to fall back into 4th position. But all the while we've had that battle going on, first, it's allowed both Wan Lin and Beans Forster to separate themselves out from Vogel and Ray. But watch for the 221 machine of Charles Vaccaro, another Spec Racer Ford racer in the real life. He is starting to make up some ground. That last lap was almost 0.7 of a second faster, and as they cross the stripe now, let's take a look at the difference. And Vogel running about the same lap times now as probably Vaccaro running the same lap times as Vogel and Stevie Ray.
Yeah, doing a good job. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Forster putting a little bit of a kibosh on what we had said. We thought that Wan Lin was going to be able to run away, but here is Forster fighting up for the lead.
And, you know, and as much as I thought our two leaders were starting to step away from Ray and Vogel, they may find themselves in the midst of a 4-car, maybe a 5-car fight once again, as Forster runs a little deep going down into turn 5, but he manages to hold off Wan Lin as we jump a little bit further back in the field. And we've got the teammates here going at it again. We've got Murphy Nichols and Deacon Greenfield running 6th and 7th, and we've got Travis Trussell once again, 2nd race in a row, looking for that hard charger award. He made up 10 spots in the Spec Miata race. Right now he's made up 7, or probably he's made up 11.
Yeah, doing one better, and there is still over half of this race to go, so there's still more room for Trussell to try to move his way up forward. Deacon Greenfield that we watch right now, kicking up a little bit of dust there on the outside.
And here we go, 2 by 2 by, well, 1 because Charles Vaccaro doesn't have a dancing partner there. Going side by side into turn 1, we got Beans Forster drivers right, we've got Wan Chi Lin drivers left, and they continue out of turns 1 and 2, door to door. Vogel and Stevie Ray swap positions going down into turn 1. So Vogel now running in 3rd position, got that last step on the podium for the moment. Stevie Ray in 4th, and Charles Vaccaro in that red and blue number 221 machine. He is quickly making up ground in that battle for 3rd.
Yeah, very quickly making up ground, and look just how late on the binders he is. And that's the 231 around.
231 goes around, the 30 appears to go off as well, and now we have a new leader. It is John Vogel, as we watch here as Beans Forster trying to recover. Let's take a look at the replay, see exactly what happened, DJ.
I've got to think that this is probably a little bit of contact here between Forster and Yonji Lin coming down into the corner. Onto the binders early there, just catches the car. It gets a little bit sideways. That is my mistake. That is just a solo error from the 231.
Yeah, and no contact with the 30 machine, but the 30 Lin had to take evasive action into the gravel. Lost a lot of time. Wan Chi Lin now finds himself in 3rd, but he definitely is not out of it as he's tucked under the gearbox of the number 11 machine. John Vogel, defensive, going down into turn 1. He, again, is your leader. He was your pole sitter tonight. Found himself as far back as 4th, but now he is back in the lead as we have just 7.5 minutes remaining here at Summit Point. He leads Stevie Ray, Wan Chi Lin, and Charles Vaccaro, and then a distant 4, almost 5 seconds back is Beans Forster, along with Murphy Nichols, Deacon Greenfield, and Travis Trussell as well.
Yeah, this is certainly starting to really tighten up here up at the front. I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't see Wan Chi Lin trying to send a little bit of a move going down through the chute. I think he is just trying to maybe figure out exactly who this new sparring partner in the form of Stevie Ray is going to be, where he's going to be able to find a good run. May have found it right there as Stevie runs a little bit wide.
Yeah, I was just going to say as Stevie Ray went over the curbing at the exit of turn 8, might have even gotten a tiny little bit of grass, gave the opportunity to the number 30 machine, and here we go. Does the 30 machine step out? No, he's going to use Stevie Ray to push up to the number 4 machine as they work together, try to close the gap as they come down into the braking zone, and now they all move over, drivers left, to see if they can work that outside on the number 4 machine. Remember, we've seen where the number 4 of Vogel doesn't get a good exit out of turns 1 and 2 when he enters from driver's right. He manages to hold them off, stays center of track just for the moment to play some defense on the number 11 machine. And once again, as they head down the hill, John Vogel holds on to the lead.
Yeah, holds on by about 0.3 of a second here. We ride on board with Wan Chi Lin coming down into the corner. Looks like a little bit of a run there from Stevie Ray. I think Wan Chi Lin checked himself up a little bit. Whoa!
Ooh. And you can see there where Lin getting a little bit better runs through turn 5 than the number 11 machine. Had to get on the binders. Definitely compromised his exit speed coming out of the corner, but here's where he's going to be able to use that draft to pull right back up to at least the number 11 machine. I think the big thing here, DJ, is that that Stevie Ray not getting the run through the carousel that John Vogel does, and so as they come onto the front straight here, Wan Chi Lin always now in the position of having to push Stevie Ray back up to the number 4. You can see here once again Vogel with about a 2-car length advantage as they come down into the braking zone.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It's a little bit of what we saw last time from Murphy Nichols there. That looks like Stevie Ray able to be good on the binders going down into the corners. Oh, that's a car off. That's Vaccaro.
Yep, there we go. The 221 machine goes around Charles Vaccaro. He's now going to give up spots to Beans Forster, who now finds his way back up in the 4th, and Murphy Nichols in the 5 machine. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened to the 221.
It looked like he was in a little bit of an island unto himself. I wonder if this is just a little bit of a braking error here from Charlie. Comes down into the corner. Does he clip a little bit too much of the curb?
That's it.
Yep.
There you go. Doesn't go all the way around, but just enough to lose momentum, bring that car almost to a complete stop here as we go back to the live action. And there's Charles Vaccaro now as he finds himself now in 7th. Deacon Greenfield having picked up another position. So move Greenfield, who started in 9th tonight, up into 6th, and seemingly Travis Trussell perpetually in 8th position here tonight as part of that battle. As we jump now back to this battle for 4th position, Beans Forrester and Murphy Nichols. Nichols running very wide out of 10, grabbing a whole bunch of gravel trap here as they make the run down into turn 1. As we now see the battle going on just behind them, as Vaccaro trying to conduct a bit of a recovery drive, as looks like he's going to take over now 6th position from Deacon Greenfield. Let's jump back now up towards the lead here with Stevie Ray, your new leader. So what happened? We've got John Vogel now, DJ, sitting back in 3rd position as both Ray and Lynn have gotten around.
Looks like we're going to be able to check out a replay here of exactly what happened. I saw a little bit of an off track there for Vogel. I wonder if he had a little bit of a problem here coming down into turn 1. That's going to be Wanshi Lin there giving a little bit of a bump. Contact there. Ray's just going to have a little bit more speed as they come down into the braking zone. Vogel looks like he tries to be able to bring that car around. Catches a little bit of that inside curbing. Ooh! Contact.
There you go, and a little bit of contact as Stevie Ray comes over on the number 4 machine, and that is going to move Vogel to the grass and move Vogel into 3rd position, and a not a distant 3rd. He's about 6/10 back from our 2nd place runner, Wanshi Lin. You can see him starting to make up ground, but what that has also done is it's given Stevie Ray a decent-sized buffer as we now have only 2.5 minutes remaining here. When our leaders cross the stripe, we should have likely one more lap to go.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to here. And now there's going to be a little bit of an unpredictability factor, though, for traffic. Stevie Ray. Lap traffic, exactly.
And he's coming up, I believe that is the 18 of Sherman. Directly ahead, and Sherman's going to open up the door for him at turn 5, let him through. Next up is going to be Steve Blethen. Now Blethen, although rather new to iRacing, front-running driver in the Sports Car Cup of America's Touring 4 class, was actually on the pole at the SCCA's National Championship runoffs in the class at Indianapolis last year, so certainly knows about driver awareness, knows how to wheel a car, and I think he's going to show deference to the number 11 machine here as they come out of turn 10. It looks like the 150 with a little bit of damage at the back of the car. He pulls over driver's left, and Stevie Ray trying to get as much of a draft off him as he can, and we do not have the white flag in the air. Oh, it is out. There you go. White flag is in the air. We are working the last lap here from Summit Point here as and it looks like Stevie Ray moves over driver's left all the way into the grass to let Wanshi Lin and John Vogel through.
Yeah, and this is the battle to keep our eyes on here. The one for P2, Stevie Ray just has to basically bring this car around and not make any mistakes. The fight, though, is on between Wanshi Lin and John Vogel. Here is Vogel going to try to send a big one going down here through the chute. Looks like he may be a little far back.
And here we go. Yeah, a little late on the brakes there going in the 4. And not able to outbrake Wanshi Lin. He's going to have to hold station there as they go through the carousel. Now Stevie Ray coming up on some more slower traffic. I believe that's Jose de la Casas just ahead of him in the number 17 machine. Ray dispatches with that car soon enough or easily enough, but we've got Wanshi Lin and John Vogel now having to get past the 17 as they come under braking into turn 10 for the very last time. And as they come onto the front straight, Lin goes wide through the gravel. Is he going to be able to gather it back up? He does, but can John Vogel beat him to the line? No. Taking the win is Stevie Ray, taking the round number 1 here for the Spec Racer Fords in the Ray Esports Racing League, the league with his name on the mantle. So Wanshi Lin will come home in 2nd. John Vogel finishes in 3rd on the last step of the podium. Beans Forster comes home in 4th. Charles Vaccaro, great recovery for him. He will come home in 5th. Travis Trussell, wow, look at this. Travis Trussell gets around both Murphy Nichols and Deacon Greenfield, finishes in 6th position, makes up 13 positions. Murphy Nichols will finish in 7th, Deacon Greenfield 8th, Josh Justice 9th, and Justin Huffman will round out the top 10. So once again, DJ, wow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just a fantastic run to the line there. Yeah. Really, really good stuff from Stevie Ray. Up 4 positions to be able to take that victory. Some very, very impressive running from him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear in the interview here, and we've got Stevie Ray sitting in the green room right now. If he has any comments about the little coming together with John Vogel there to take the lead, but you take that part away, and Ray ran a very strong race, as did Lynn, as did John Vogel. So let's do this. Let's bring in Stevie Ray, our winner tonight in Spec Racer Ford.
Yes, indeed, Stevie Ray, a fantastic run there for you. Up 4 positions. You have got to be feeling very, very good, I'd have to imagine, after some of those close battles.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Some of the battles, I mean, we had some car contact that didn't expect and didn't want to happen, but all in all, that was a ton of fun.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that contact. It looked like things got a little bit pushy and shovey there. How'd you manage to just kind of keep it all and pointed the right way?
Yeah, when you're so close and those cars are so even in that tight circuit, I mean, it's going to happen after turn 1 and 3 stuff. I don't know, a little loose braking and our sides touched, and you just kind of keep looking forward, keep the throttle down and go and hope everything's all right.
Well, it certainly proved out right for you. I'll ask you the same kind of question I've been asking a lot of folks. Is this a little bit of a statement of intent for the Spec Racer Ford Series? Is this the start of a championship run for you?
No, I wish. I usually work on Tuesday nights and wasn't feeling too good this morning, so took the day off. So this is probably my only week to get to run with these guys. And I told them at the end, I appreciate them. I can set it up, but it's the guys on track every week that make it what it is, and they support the league, and a lot of really good guys, a lot of real world drivers out there. So that was an honor to be up front with that group.
Well, we love being able to see you run up at the front there, Stevie, but the win on the day, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, we got to thank our sponsor, the Spec Racer Sports, for sticking with this group for another season now. We can't do the broadcast without them. We got a sponsor for each class, as you guys may know, and any new viewers for each car, each class we've got a different sponsor, real world involvement with motorsports. So it's awesome to have them on board. You guys do a great job. Greg Ginsberg, our SCCA voice, is awesome to keep that flavor going. Johnny Grabs, I know, is really good behind the scenes, and just everybody on the track every week. It's like I said, I keep saying it, it's a good group of guys, but it truly is. You can learn a lot from these guys.
Well, I know I've certainly picked up a few things, and clearly you have as well, Stevie, being able to take the win. Congratulations once again.
All right, thanks, DJ. Good to have you in the booth this season.
Glad to be here, and that was Stevie Ray, your series organizer and victor for today. But we've also been able to catch up with P3 John Vogel. And John, a little bit of a yo-yo session there for you, but walking away with the podium at the end of the day on the first race of the season, that's got to be a good way to start things off.
That was a fun race, guys. I don't know what else to say. Maybe the one that got away, but it was so fun.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that. It seemed like every time we were looking at the screen, you were battling with somebody else. First Wan Shi Lin, then Stevie Ray. I mean, did you have a moment to breathe?
I don't think I did. I actually, it's kind of karma that Steve won that race. I felt like I manhandled him a little bit in the middle of the race, and somehow he survived. I don't know how I survived, and he kind of got me back the same way and went ahead and won the race. As I was running back there, I thought that's the way that goes, And Wan Shi's so fast. I didn't have any confidence of getting around him. I just had to try. I don't know what else to say.
Well, anything over the course of the season that you're particularly looking forward to? We've got a great spate of tracks coming up. Are you looking forward to any in particular?
I guess we've got the Glen on the calendar and Road America. Those are two favorites, both real tracks we've been to, and the iRacing League. So, I don't know. I always try to put an extra effort in for those. I don't know if Road Atlanta's on the schedule either, but that'd be.
It is going to be there in 2 weeks. Not with the Spec Racer Sports, for Formula 4 and MX5.
It's heartbreaking. Well, anyway, yes, that one too. And Greg, question for you.
Yes, sir.
How did you come up with all those facts on when the track was scanned? And I mean, like, you were going through a little history. I wasn't sure if I wasn't watching, ESPN or like what the coverage was. You know what I'm saying? I thought you had the fact checkers like checking the stuff and then they check the records. And
when you've been driving at Summit Point since the early 2000s and was actually around when iRacing was actually scanning the track, you learn these things. I was actually there watching it. There you go.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thanks for your work tonight. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, John, as well, and definitely look forward to seeing you here for the rest of the season.
Right,
so everybody, there you go. We'll see you next week, John. That was John Vogel, and John, do we have time for one more person, perhaps? Because we've got Wan Chi Lin. Yeah, let's bring him on in. Wan Chi Lin finishing second tonight here in Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, Wan Chi Lin, a stout defense coming back there through the field, having to fight your way up a little bit. Not the best qualifying, but it certainly looked like one of the best races we've seen from you.
Definitely. I actually I came just have fun today. I didn't really practice much. I originally planned to start all the way from the back to like kind of work through the field, but I mean, I actually tried to invalidate my qualifying lap, but for some reason one of them counted. But still, it was really fun. It's just going back and forth. I wasn't really thinking about any strategic move today, just sending in every corner.
Well, you certainly made it look relatively easy, sending it on in. A little bit scruffy there at points, though, a little bit of car contact, but you managed it well. Any worries about any damage on the car, or was it pretty much just good driving out there today?
Not at all. I mean, we were very close. It's just it's side drop technique. I mean, you probably heard it from NASCAR, but it actually is a thing in Spec Racer Sport. But I mean, it's not really a thing in Spec Miata. I think, I mean, although you got a big windshield there, but I think side drop in that car is just not modeled in iRacing, unfortunately. So, like, if you have the head of your car really close to the car in front's quarter panel, you can scoop the air onto the spoiler and thus slowing the car in front down. And I think John and Beans was also using this technique tonight. That's why we keep going side by side on the straight line. We can't get around each other. Then we just go side by side in the corner. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate that Beans lost it early on. It was shaping up to be a really fun race.
Well, it still was a fun race from our perspective and a P2 on the day. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this podium spot?
I mean, obviously, thank you guys broadcasting the race, and thanks Mr. Stevie Ray organizing this great league. A little bit bummer that I miscalculated time and missed the MX5 race earlier. So yeah, I really had fun tonight. It's one of the most exciting races I've had in a while.
Was exciting from us up in the booth, and congratulations again on a well-earned second place here today.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, there you go. That's Wan Chi Lin finishing second tonight in Spec Racer Ford. And so, DJ, I think without a doubt, a very successful first week of season number 7 here in the Esports Racing League.
Very successful indeed. 2 great races from a fantastic speedway. I really can't imagine a better way to start this season off.
No, nor can I. So before we wrap things up here, if you liked what you saw here tonight in Spec Racer Ford or in Spec Miata, please go ahead and give us that big thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to Apex Racing TV, please go ahead and do that. You'll thank us later. So as we get ready to wrap things up tonight, wanted to give everybody, and I know DJ and I have been mentioning this parts of the schedule here throughout the evening, but wanted to put it up here for you all. Next week, we are going to be at Sonoma Raceway, heading out to California wine country, where the Spec Racer Fords will return, and we'll have our first outing for Formula 4. Going to be hitting up Road Atlanta in 2 weeks, Lime Rock, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, beautiful WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, the National Park of Speed, Road America, and then we're going to round out the regular season at the land of concrete not concrete canyons, but the land of concrete and Sebring International Raceway, of course, the home of the B-17 training facility out there. And then in mid-December, actually, I think it's the week right before Christmas, we're going to have our championship event, our runoffs at Indianapolis Motor Speedway's newly scanned road course. So for DJ Clark, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and of course, let me not forget Jonathan Grabowski back behind the scenes. Join us next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern from Sonoma Raceway, and we'll see you then.